All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. Me and Hitch are back. Football season is upon us. We figured we would hop on here, hit record, and tell you about all the things we don't know about this football team with all the new faces here in Oxford. Obviously, all of the players who lost to the NFL draft, school record for players drafted this past year, and a lot of people to replace, a lot of really good players, at least from a pedigree standpoint, step in and fill those holes, but not a whole lot of experience coming back for Ole Miss. So it's really going to be on the coaches, Lane Kiffin, Pete Golding, guys with one hell of a track record of getting the most out of the players so far during their tenures in Oxford, to do it once again with some inexperienced players. But before we get to that, Hitch, how you been doing? How's summer been going? Ready to get rolling again for football season?
Oh yeah, for sure. I took the time off here during the summer to really not learn anything about what's going on or what might be happening, with this football team. But it seems kind of weird though, because I don't know, in years past, I feel like I've been information overload. And this
Mm-hmm.
year, like, I don't know, I haven't seen really anything other than maybe what y'all shared in the group chats about uh, players or commitments and things like that. So I'm excited for you to teach me all of the things that we're going to do this year.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to teach you just a whole lot here in this one show. I get a lot of my information. Stephen Willis, obviously, with Lock on Ole Miss, has done one hell of a job keeping up with what's going on with this football team throughout preseason camp. He has a lot of really informative people on his show every single week that actually get to watch practice and get to see what's going on. So able to get a little bit from there. And but I'm more of a seeing is believing kind of a guy, so I need to see stuff with my own eyes. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I've got a lot of question marks about this team. Obviously, lose Jackson Dart in first round to the New York Giants, breaking in a new quarterback. Now we've got Austin Simmons in here, obviously a really sharp, really talented young man, taking over the reins here in Oxford. College graduate, as everybody knows, at the ripe old age of 19. Came in for that one drive against Georgia last year, looked really, really good against one of the best teams in the country. Just kind of 10,000 foot view. What do you expect out of Austin Simmons so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, all of the talk is that he is, the guy that's going to be the next guy, and I hope
Mm-hmm.
so. Like you said, I haven't seen much, and honestly, if I had seen much, I don't know what I would tell you. I mean, um, the only thing is, like, last year when I saw him throw, I my to the untrained eye mind, it looked like he had a very long throwing motion, and he is not the tallest guy, and so I don't know if they've worked on that, or if they're, the play calls are going to be more get the ball out of his hand quickly, or if he's going to have to wind up really. I mean, you throw the crap out of the ball. He throws what at 96 off the mound. So I think that the arm
You
talent
can't let
is
go of
there.
that baseball with
I'm
with
not.
Austin
I'm
Simmons,
not.
can you?
I'll never let go of it. Right? Like, I like the kid. I hope he does well, but he robbed us of an incredible experience of watching him on the mound for 3 more years, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But, like, he has the arm talent, and you just said it earlier. He is obviously a super bright kid, who graduated early. So you got to think that any free time that he has, on top of how smart the kid is, that he's like in the video room, he's studying the playbook and things like that. So everything lines up, for him being a guy that's going to be able to win games for us. But I'm a lot like you, is that I'll believe it when I see it, right? Like, I've been burned too many times on, this is the guy that's going to be the guy, and then he's not the guy. So when he proves it, then okay, right? He can have that. But I'm
Yeah.
with you. Let's see it to believe it.
Yeah, yeah, and my biggest question mark is not really with Olson Simmons. I think if his offensive line protects, we're able to run the ball, take a little bit of pressure off of him. I have no doubt that he'll be able to put up huge numbers in this offense under Lane Kiffin, just like every quarterback has ever since he's gotten to Oxford, or going back to FAU, or when he was at Alabama, USC, Tennessee, USC and Tennessee. He's always been able to put up numbers with his quarterback, always been able to put up points. My biggest question mark, though, is that offensive line. That has been a real trouble area for Ole Miss the last few years. Last year in particular was particularly concerning. Now we've got only a couple of guys coming back. Jalen Williams, obviously, I think he's going to be at right tackle this year. But you've got to be able to block, give him time, and you've got to be able to create some running lanes for these running backs to try to take a little bit of pressure off of the quarterback. We've got a new running back room as well. Obviously, Logan Diggs coming back from that knee injury from a couple years ago, the transfer from LSU. He seems to be good to go. Kylon Lacey, the transfer from Missouri, who Ole Miss really wanted out of high school. And then we've got a couple other guys in there. Shaquille Mills-Knight, the freshman running back out of high school this year that we signed. We've got some guys back there, but this offensive line, this is a big year for them. They need to step up, protect the quarterback, open up some running lanes. That way, everything's not on the quarterback all the time, and actually give him time to work and find these receivers, which is a whole nother discussion with this receiver room. Everybody that I've listened to, everything that I've read, this is one of the best and definitely the most talented receiver room that Lane Kiffin has had since he's been in Oxford. You get Stribling in from Oklahoma State to transfer, you get the kid from Penn State transferring in. Obviously, you got Caden Lee. Take the big hit with Luke Haas at the tight end with the injury before camp started. But you still got Daquan Wright, and you've got Caleb Odom, transfer from Alabama, moving to tight end. Just a mismatch nightmare there with Odom when he gets a linebacker or safety on him. So we've got weapons all over the place. We got to have those guys up front, giving them time to do some damage, though.
Yeah, I mean, and that's interesting. As you're talking about the running back room and the offensive line, I mean, it last year it felt like, every other day, we were signing a running back, and it was like, even a household name almost by the end of the day. And same, with on the defensive side of the ball, which we'll talk about in a minute. I don't feel like I'm getting inundated. Like maybe I'm just immune to it or desensitized to it, because for so many years it has been just information overload. But I feel like I don't see anything about these transfer guys coming in, and probably that's on me because I don't seek out that information as much as I used to. But with the receivers, here's my question. You said that people are saying this is the best wide receiver room since Lane Kiffin's been here. What was his first set of wide receivers? Do you remember? Off the top of your head, I can look it up.
No, you've got that was like the Dayton Wades, the early years of Jordan Watkins, Elijah Moore, obviously, which is a really big one. Him and Matt Corral raised all kinds of hell there in Oxford during that COVID year of 2020. That was the clipboard throw for Lane Kiffin on the sideline there against Florida. South Carolina, I believe it was. But yeah, I mean, we've always had dudes, and that's kind of what they're saying. He's probably had better number ones than what he's got. Obviously Trey Harris, if he was able to stay healthy, would have been one of the best to ever come through Oxford, right? He's missed so much time last year. But we've just got a lot of guys. You've got dudes from Wake Forest transferred in. He seems to be making a ton of plays out of the slot for us. If the reports coming out of practice are true, now you never know what they're actually seeing and reporting on that, or if they're reporting on what people are telling them. But there has been some videos out of dudes from Wake Forest, Stribling from Oklahoma State, kid from Penn State coming in. Of course, Caden Lee, you know what you're getting out of him. A guy that's going to catch 100 balls out of 100. He doesn't drop anything. So you've just got guys all over the place. But to your point about not being as up to date and not being as inundated with the overload of information, I think that's just the era of college football and college athletics in general that we're in right now, because Here in a few months, we'll start talking about basketball, and me and you are going to have to dive into all of the new names with this basketball team. You know, you get Clafty back, you get Dia back, and then it's all transfers and
Yeah.
freshmen. You got some overseas kids coming in, so it's just the way things are right now. Same way with baseball, right? You get Hunter Elliott back, you get Udermark and Federico and Furnace and those guys back, Fowley. But then you're plugging in all of these transfers from a pitching staff standpoint, from an outfield standpoint. So it's a lot to learn. It's a lot to dig into. To where used to, these guys would come in out of high school. You would basically not see them play as a freshman unless they were absolute studs. Start seeing them get on the field as sophomore. You can say, oh, this guy can do this or this guy can do that. And then see them start to progress, junior years. And then by the time they're seniors, it's just different right now. And I think that's the reason that, you're not as up to date on this football team, just like
Yeah.
I'm not. But I've got to be able to see these guys play and see what they can actually do because I'm not at practice to watch it.
It's almost like recasting a TV show every year. Like it's like you go through and you learn all of these players and you like certain players, you dislike certain players, whatever, and then the next year you have to do it all over again because none of them are the same. That's exhausting and overwhelming for me. I'm sure some people love it, right? But
absolutely,
I can't handle it. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. That makes sense.
So for me, I actually had sent you a message. It's probably been a month or so ago of how ready I am to sit down and try to put together a pitching staff and pitching roles for baseball with all these new guys, right? You've got Hunter Elliott on Friday, and then it's wide stinking open after that because it's brand new faces all over the place. And that's something I actually am really looking forward to doing and will do here in the next few months. But let's shift gears to defense, though. Obviously, we lost a lot of guys at defensive line. We had Walter Nolan go in the first round. You were J.J. Kagee, Jared Ivey, Princely Uman all of these guys have played such a huge role that are all playing on Sundays now in the NFL. You're replacing all of them, but this goes back to it seemed to be a concerted effort by the staff, Pete Golding in particular, and that defensive staff last year to go all in on high school defensive line recruits, right? And even before that, and now you've got guys like William Eccles, Cam Franklin, you got Beavers, Jeffrey Rush, all of these guys, Avian Howard, Jamarius Brown. You've got all these young guys that played sparingly last year, but now they've got to take over the full-time role and replace all those NFL guys. That's one place I'm not that concerned about. I'm even not that concerned about linebacker. You got Sunterin Perkins, who came in, I believe, at number 25 or number 26 on the Locked On top 100 players in the country, which seems kind of low to me. I saw a top 10 linebacker list where he was like 7. And if there are 6 better linebackers than Sunterin Perkins, then I would sure love to see them. But you get Dodery back on top of that. You get the transfer in from, I believe, Marshall, if I'm not mistaken. That a big year there for them. But that secondary, replacing all of those guys. You had Trey Amos, a guy that literally cut the field in half every single time he stepped out there. You're replacing safeties, cornerbacks. That's the area on the defense that I want to see come, I guess it's August 30th, if I'm not, August 30th. That's my 20-year high school reunion.
Here we go.
Really bad planning on some people's parts there. Had to get talked in to go into that one. But I think we're going to be pretty good up front. I think linebackers are going to be good. I need to see what that secondary is going to do, though.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it really feels like Pete Golding. I'm probably not breaking any new ground here, but like that the front four or whatever he has there is like the linchpin, right? Like his whole, you got to get pressure on him, and he goes after guys that are going to absolutely wear you out up there and not allow the quarterback to stand still. And Sunterin Perkins, I'm excited to watch him play. As excited to watch him play defensively maybe as I have been for a long time, because you alluded to it a while ago. He was a big deal coming in when we signed him as a freshman. Didn't play a lot, but when he did play, you were like, "Ooh, this kid." They were right about him. And then as a sophomore last year, he makes big plays, and you're just like, okay, great. And now you've gone 3 years with the kid, and you're like, okay, this is the year that generally a breakout, happens when it does. And so, yeah, I'm with you on the back end. Who knows what I'm to the point now where who knows what is going to happen when the ball goes up into the air.
Yeah. And with
these
Suntory, I
receivers and
remember
these
watching
DBs are
him.
so good. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I remember watching Suntory as a true freshman playing. They would ask him to do several different things to start the year, right? Whether it be coverage or play the run, whatever. But you saw the pass rush. Like you said, go get the ball, and he would go get that damn quarterback. And eventually, throughout his freshman year, that's all they asked him to do: line up on the edge, whether it be hand down or standing up, and just go get the quarterback. Last year, you saw him evolve where he was able to drop back and cover a tight end or a running back coming out of the backfield. But the instincts he has to go get the quarterback or go get whoever the hell it is that has the ball, it really took a step forward last year with him, and I expect another step forward with him where he ends up working himself as a lock as a first-round pick in the NFL draft next year. So everybody enjoy Suntory Perkins and realize what a special player you're watching, because this is going to be his last year in Oxford, barring something very, very surprising. But we've got to see what we've got on the back end of that defense. Again, Trey Amos was obviously a talented kid, but we didn't know what we were getting out of him last year. Turns out we got what should have been a first-round pick and ended up being an early second-round pick. Sounds like he's going to be starting for Washington this coming up year as well. So maybe you can find somebody that can come out there and kind of surprise you a little bit and take over that role for Trey. We just don't know yet, but that's something that's going to be answered pretty quick here with this Ole Miss Rebel football team, because as we get into the schedule here, to look at record projections here, Hitch, this is very, very unlike the season last year where we had 4 duds to start the year, and we didn't really know what Ole Miss was until we got to, last week into September or into October. We start the year in Oxford against Georgia State, but right out of the gate, week 2, travel to Lexington, and everybody says they're not worried about Kentucky, don't think they're going to be very good this year. I urge you not to forget the 5th game of the year last year in Oxford, Mississippi, when they came in here. It's a team that's going to play hard. They're going to be physical, and if you're not ready, they will jump up and pop you. That being said, I think Lane Kiffin's got this one circled and might try to make a statement in Lexington. And I think the Rebels are able to take that one and start the year 2-0. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. I'm right there with you. I don't think that Lane Kiffin, he's not the kind of guy or not the kind of coach to forget that debacle in Oxford last year. And so, he may not run it up, right? But he won't leave any doubt.
Little doubt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, 2-0
because
right.
that ultimately kept Ole Miss out of the playoffs. That and then that game in Gainesville, obviously LSU, whatever. That was a hell of a game. That's a coin flip. Going into it ended up being a coin flip by the end of it as well. So, but I think start off 2-0, come back home the following weekend and host Arkansas in Oxford. Again, this is a team that has a quarterback coming back year 2 under Bobby Petrino for Taylor Green. You're expecting a jump there. He's incredibly athletic, a really good player, I feel like. But I just don't feel like there's enough around him there. And Ole Miss gets the job done here in Oxford, start off 3-0.
Yeah, and this feels like, again, I don't know a lot about football, but this feels like one of those, hey, 4, go. Whenever that kid has the ball, when Taylor Green's got the ball, don't let him get nothing.
That's you.
Right.
Yeah. And that's basically what you saw last year in Fayetteville, too.
Yeah. And I mean, watching football the way that kind of we watch football, we learn all of these kids before they get to Arkansas, right? Like Taylor Green at Boise State 2 years ago was unbelievable, right? So like he showed flashes of it last year at Arkansas. he just showed some immaturity and turned the ball over a lot. So coming into this year, he's going to be good. This game is always a nightmare game. I hate this game. And I probably expect it to be the last team that has the ball may win this one. But going back to how important it's going to be to start out 3-0. Coming off of that, even though we won the bowl game and we won the Egg Bowl, like that loss to Florida was demoralizing at the end of the year last year, and so couple that with the demoralizing loss that we had against Kentucky earlier in the year. I think it's super important to start out 3-0. Going into that Tulane game, which always has the ability to jump up and bite you.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird. Look, this is going to be a good Tulane team too. You got John Summerall there now. They went and got the BYU quarterback. He's put together a really good roster. Tulane has been one of the better group of 5 programs over the last few years, even amid a couple coaching changes there as well. So that's who Ole Miss will host after Arkansas. They'll welcome the Green Wave into Oxford. I think talent wins out here, but again, you're going up against a really good coach, really good players, especially at the G5 level. By the time this is all said and done, I do expect Ole Miss to beat Tulane, but don't be surprised if Tulane's not your group of 5 representatives by the time the playoff selection comes around.
Hey, and look, man, the way that game is sandwiched in there, right?
Because there's a big one the next weekend.
And the Arkansas game being the week before it, you better go ahead and see what that line is, and if it is double digits, you might want to get on Tulane. Just coming from somebody who doesn't know anything about the football. Yeah, coming from somebody who doesn't know anything about any of these football teams yet. Just looking at how the schedule sets up, Tulane is going to be a sneaky one.
Yeah, it is. And then kind of like you said, coming out of that, now we get the first big test of the year. LSU comes into Oxford. Kind of some weird things coming out of Baton Rouge right now with Nussmeier and potential knee injury. First came out, which I never did believe that he had torn his ACL, but obviously he didn't. But Brian Kelly came out and he had an interesting statement on it. He called it a chronic knee issue. That's the last thing you want out of your potential All-American first-round quarterback is to have chronic knee issues in the SEC, especially against a team with Ole Miss that is going to have so many guys that can get after you. It sounds like he might be a little bit of a statue back there if these knee issues persist. But to LSU, though, they did an incredible job with the portal. They get Weeks back at linebacker. If you remember, kind of had his breakout game against Ole Miss last year. I think he had something like 45 tackles that game against us. I mean, we couldn't get away from that dude. But then they go out and they get Darian Brown from Tennessee, or from Kentucky, I mean. And Darren Key as well from Kentucky, I believe, went to LSU. He's got a ton of weapons around him. It's a very talented team, a team that's absolutely going to push for a playoff spot as long as Nussmeier is healthy. Ole Miss has a chance to win this game. LSU obviously has a chance to win this game. This is what I feel like is the first true coin flip of the season, and I think is probably why those first 4 games are so important that you're 4-0 going into this game, because you just truly don't know what to expect.
Yeah, look, there's the new thing on Netflix is the college football. It's an SEC thing where it looks at a few teams going into last year. We started watching it out in the garage the other day, and I thought it was going to be going into this year, and I didn't realize it was a replay of last year. But we watched the first episode, and that effing Weeks kid showed up, and I got irrationally angry when he's like just out of nowhere. And Blake was like, what is wrong? I was like, this kid wore us out last year. Yes. I said, and I hate him so much. And then he gets to talking, and he's such a good kid. Like he's just a good old boy, And then his brother, his older brother, shows up. I can't remember what his name is. And Blake goes, well, it may not have been that one, it may have been his brother because he plays Dutch. He's like, hell no, it was Whit
Nope.
Weeks. I know which one it
Yep.
was because I ain't gonna forget that. Whit Weeks. Man, but yeah,
Man,
it
he
was just
killed us.
funny when you mentioned him coming back. I got mad about it all over again. That's the third time I've been mad at the kid in just a couple of days. I don't even know him, but yeah, this one, if we're talking about records here, I think that there's a real shot that 4-0 going into this and 4-1 coming out
Take
of
the
it.
shot.
Yeah.
He's going to take the shot here with LSU.
Knowing,
and
knowing or not knowing what I know about Ole Miss going into it, right? Like I don't feel confident like I felt last year with last year's team going into it, and that's not a slight to this year's team. That's a stupidity or no information on my part. But I think that I wouldn't be surprised if we're 4-1 going into that Washington State game.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Good news here, though, is after that LSU game, we do get a bye week. Welcome Washington State home. I think we end up blowing them out. They got absolutely devastated by the transfer portal.
Okay,
Lost
good.
their
That's my
OC
question.
as well. Yeah. They got devastated by the portal. All their good players went somewhere else. So I think,
man, that's 2 years in a row for them.
Handling that one. Do what?
That's 2 years in a row for them. When you think about it, right? Because Cam Ward was there, and he had such a great year 2 years ago. They had a good year, and then Menard was whatever. Man, had
he's
a good
at Oklahoma
year.
now.
Is it the same coach? I need to look that. I wonder if it's the same coach or if he's moved on. Because if this coach keeps retooling like this, somebody hire this guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
But I think Ole Miss takes care of business there, and then here comes a 3-game stretch right here, Hitch, that I think ends up defining this Ole Miss season. You travel to Athens October 18th, to Oklahoma October 25th, who we just mentioned just got John Mateer from Washington State, brought the offensive coordinator over with him to run the offense there in Norman. And then you get Lenore Sellers and South Carolina coming into town there. Out of these 3 games, assuming that we end up losing to LSU, that's kind of what makes that LSU game so big, because that means you either have to go 2-1 during this stretch, or if you end up beating LSU, you can come out of it 1-2 and still have playoff hopes out of it. That's what makes that LSU game so big, because this is a pretty brutal 3-game stretch for the Rebels. I think you can go ahead and say a loss at Georgia if you're going to, just assume you're going to walk into Athens and win a place that, if I'm not mistaken, they have not lost a game in over 5 years now. They just don't lose there. And so now you're talking about having to go to Norman, come home and beat South Carolina to keep your playoff hopes alive if that LSU game doesn't go your way. So big 3-game stretch here. What do you make of it?
A big 3-game stretch. I think that you said it very well. I think probably the Oklahoma and the South Carolina games are more interesting to me, just because of what we know about Georgia. What happened to us the last time that we went to Athens and played a football game. I'm not saying we won't win this game. We can't win this game, but
we absolutely can, but you can't count on them.
Yeah, but okay. So Mateer going to Oklahoma. That's this whole podcast. I have a piece of paper, and that's the only thing I've written down. And it's for use elsewhere, probably. Glad to know that. He makes them interesting, right? Oklahoma is always going to have offensive weapons on the outside most of the time. It's just whether or not the quarterback can get it to them. And man, South Carolina and Lenore Sellers might be the scariest team in the SEC, with Lenore Sellers on one side and that freaking beast of I guess a sophomore now on the other side. South Carolina is a very scary team. We get them at home, right? I think if the LSU game is going to tell us. Actually, probably the Kentucky and Arkansas game is going to tell us a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But LSU is the swing in all of it.
It's a tough stretch through here. I think 1 and 2. I think 1 and 2 through here is
in
good.
That 3-game stretch.
Yeah, I think 1 and 2
it is, and it's
good.
completely fine. It's completely fine as long as you're able to get that LSU game. Now, if you're not able to get it, that's when it gets a little problematic. Looks like defending home turf is going to be the key to the Ole Miss season if the playoffs are your ultimate goal here, because then you can drop games in Athens, in Norman, as long as you protect home field. Which, look, Ole Miss has been very good under Lane Kiffin, winning in Oxford, because after that you get the Citadel at home, and then you get the Florida Gators. And we want to talk about a game that Lane Kiffin's going to have circled. We talk about Kentucky. Florida's going to be another one. He's going to want that game real bad. And I think Ole Miss has a good shot at winning that one, especially with all the weird DJ Lagway injuries that keep popping up. We keep hearing reports of now it's a leg issue. Before that, it was a shoulder issue. Now we're talking about towards the end of the year, him going through an entire SEC schedule. And if he's already having injury issues in camp, by the time he goes through the gauntlet that they have the toughest schedule in the entire damn country. There's a decent shot he might be beat up by the time they make it to Oxford anyway. And then we close this thing out in Starkville, Mississippi, against Mississippi State for the Egg Bowl. So overall, I think Ole Miss's range is anywhere from 8-4 to 10-2. And probably ends up somewhere in the middle, 9-3 would be my guess. And once again, look just on the outside looking in of a playoff berth, but that would be a pretty good year, I feel like, for Ole Miss, considering all of the guys we're having to replace coming into this year.
Yeah, as you were talking there, I was counting. I thought what you said was interesting about defending home turf. As I was looking, I was like, yeah, I mean, we do line up with some, we had some tough, feels like every game we have at home is winnable. And even if you lose one of those, right? Like even if you lose to LSU at home, you still can win 8 games, 9 games. Yeah, right. And so LSU, Georgia, Oklahoma, South Carolina, right? Those 4 games right in the middle of the schedule.
So everything you need to know.
That's tough. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think the ceiling is 10 games and the floor is 7. Because I could see you could go 0-4 in that stretch.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's completely possible. Now you'd have to lose all the coin flip games to end up at 7-5, and that usually won't happen. Even though it did happen just last year, every close game we had, we ended up losing LSU, Kentucky, and Florida, and everybody else was a 2-possession game. Ended up being a win for the Rebels from there. So, going to be an interesting season. Like I said, ready for it to get going that way. Some of these questions can start being answered a little bit. Probably won't get a whole lot of them in week 1, but I guarantee you in week 2 in Lexington, we're at least going to get answers as far as what our physicality and our toughness is up front, because we're going to get that in spades from Mark Stoops' team. You always do. You're never going to get the most talented guys, but you're always going to get a lot of effort and a lot of physicality out of his players. So we'll see how Ole Miss ends up matching up there. And with that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Going to start ramping things up again for the start of the season. I'm sure we'll end up doing our gambling show once a week as well as things start rolling. Get Chad back on here and start giving out some plays for y'all throughout the college football season. And then we'll start trying to kind of work in some guests and stuff like that to give other perspectives of this Ole Miss team as things start rolling. So excited to get it going, no hitch. Appreciate you joining me again today. And once something else comes up, we'll hop on and we'll do it again, bro.
All right, Toddy.
All right, man.